All right, let's talk about igneous rocks. Melted rocks are called magma when we find them below the surface, and lava when they are on the surface. So the mantle would be made up of magma because the rocks are melted and below the surface. When these melted rocks cool enough that they freeze, they will form igneous rocks. So that means igneous rocks are rocks formed from cooling magma or cooling lava. All right, copy this diagram into your notebook. So this is a classic cone-shaped volcano, just as an example of the kinds of things that we're talking about. You can see that there is a pool of magma, that is molten rock, building up below the surface of the earth, below the cone of the volcano. This is magma because it's below the surface. It will cool very, very slowly unless there is more magma pushed up from underneath. This magma that's in that pool will cool very, very slowly. And the minerals that form will form very, very large crystals. On the other hand, notice the pools of lava that stand on the outside of the volcanic cone. So that's pools of lava standing on the surface. It's called lava because it's now out on the surface of the earth. It will cool very, very quickly. And the minerals that form will form very, very small crystals. Now there are two types of igneous rock that really come back to how quickly the rock cooled when it was forming. Extrusive igneous rock forms from lava, which cools very, very quickly. So extrusive sounds like extrude, sounds like exit. So this is molten rock which has exited from the earth and is lying on the surface. So it's become lava because it's lying on the surface of the earth. And it's going to cool very, very quickly because the lava itself might be hundreds and hundreds of degrees, but the area that surrounds it, all of the air that surrounds it, is maybe hovering near freezing. Or maybe it's 30 degrees or 40 degrees. Maybe it's a volcano in a really hot climate. But when you compare that 30 degrees to the hundreds and hundreds of degrees of the melted rock, it's still pretty cold. And so that melted rock will cool very fast. And the crystals that form will be small. An example of an extrusive igneous rock would be basalt. Have a look at that photograph of basalt. It's very difficult to distinguish the crystals that make up the rock because they're just so small. Intrusive igneous rock forms from magma, which cools very slowly and therefore has very large crystals. So intrusive sounds like intrude. And so these are rocks formed from magma, which is intruding into rock layers below the surface. And so the rock layers that surround the magma insulate it and keep it warm. So it's a little bit like taking a baked potato out of a campfire, but then wrapping it in foil or in blankets to keep it warm for a really long time. So the intrusive rock cools very slowly, and the minerals form very, very large crystals as they freeze. An example of that would be granite. And if you have a look at this picture of granite, you can see that it's made up of 3 different minerals. One of them is quite pinkish in color, one is very white in color, and one is black or almost black. And the crystals of those things are really large. And that's because the granite cooled very, very slowly when it formed, and those crystals had lots of time to grow really big. That's what you need to know about igneous rocks this evening.